Hi, everybody. My name is Matt Pearsall. I'm the community manager here at Second Step Program, and I am really pleased to be able to be back with you all for the next in our series of Meet the Makers live interviews that we're doing to get the chance to meet the folk who are working behind the scenes to create the Second Step family of programs. Uh, I'd like to begin with a land acknowledgement. Committee for Children's offices sit on the unceded traditional lands of the Coast Salish people, specifically the first people of Seattle, Washington, the Duwamish tribe. As we honor the Duwamish people and their ancestors, it's also important that we consider our place in the past, present, and future history of the indigenous peoples of our region, as well as how we can best support them. Thank you. Today, I'm really excited to be able to introduce to you Teryl Hughes. Teryl is the product manager for our middle school program, and she's a veteran of many development projects at Community for Children. Teryl, welcome to the community.
Hey, Matt, thanks for having me.
So, this isn't on the list of things we're going to talk about. How many projects have you worked on at Community for Children?
I mean, a number. I've been with Community for Children for 11 years. And during that time, I worked on the early learning program, research studies on the KIT elementary program, BPU, CPU, OS, the out of school time. So bullying prevention unit, child protection unit, the out of school time, and the digital K5 and the digital middle school program. So most of our current product.
That's everything, I think. Yeah.
Well, been around for 11 years. You have the opportunity to get around and touch all the things.
So, and today you're here to talk about the middle school program and talk about the advisory parts of the middle school program. But I understand there's something you wanted to announce first for all the middle school folk out there.
Yeah, I just thought I would take this opportunity to let the folks who are watching know about some exciting updates that we have coming. So on June 28th, at the end of June of this year, we are doing our kind of back to school update and getting everything refreshed for the upcoming school year, the upcoming fall. And so we're making some updates to our Unit 1 this year, specifically grade 6 and grade 7. And I wanted to share this because we have taken into account feedback that we've received from places like the Facebook community when we took into account what changes we wanted to make. So some of the updates we're making are we are updating the brain science videos in grade 6 and grade 7. We're adding some new real voices about goal setting to our grade 6. We're also adding in more family and community-centered goals to kind of honor and speak more to some collectivist cultures, in addition to some of the more individually focused goals that we have in goal setting. And we are also making some adjustments in just the Unit 1 lesson plans to try out a little bit of a different technique there to see if teachers like that more, to help them be a little less reliant on the lesson plans. So all good things that are coming in Unit 1. And I just want to always encourage people to leave feedback either in the community or in the end of the lesson surveys that you can do when you mark a lesson complete, because we scour that information every week to gather new ideas about how to make the program even better. So thanks to everyone who has submitted feedback and given us ideas about how to make the program stronger. And we're really excited to let y'all have those updates at the end of June.
Cool. Well, thank you for letting us know, and thank you for listening to the feedback. I think that's a really awesome thing that you guys are keeping an ear to what people are saying about the programs.
Yeah.
So let's talk about advisory. It's something near and dear to my heart. I'm happy to talk. We're not going to talk for hours, but I could. So I want to start off. I think there's people who don't really realize there is a whole advisory component to the middle school program. Could you talk a little bit about what this is? What is this thing that we're talking about today?
Yeah, so one of the things about middle school in particular that's different from elementary when you're thinking about teaching an SEL program is, where are you going to teach it? You don't just have one teacher teaching the same group of students throughout the day. You have multiple periods, science, English language arts, all kinds of things. And so often the majority of our users who teach Second Step Middle School actually place it into an advisory period. And advisory, I don't want to preach to the choir because I bet a lot of people know what advisory is, but it's typically a non-academic class that's focused on community building, academic support, and social connections. So that's a great place for an SEL program to fit. And when we were first developing the digital middle school program that was released back in 2017, which I will point out, Matt was a huge part of, we considered that this is likely the place where it was going to be, and that advisory is a championed idea and a really wonderful thing for students, but often not well supported, meaning it doesn't have a lot of content. Teachers who are overseeing advisory often don't have lesson plans. It becomes an extra thing that they have to prepare for and often aren't necessarily equipped to carry out all throughout the year. So when we made Second Step, we created it as such so that the lessons, the scope and sequence and the lessons are the backbone of the program, but we added a lot of standalone activities that are supportive of the content and focused on community building that work alongside all the lessons. And we packaged those activities together and called them the advisory program. And what I would say to that too is don't let the name throw you off. I've heard a lot of people say, well, we don't have advisory, but we have homeroom, or we have pioneer time, or we have whatever you want to call it. But if you have a period of time that's really focused on social connections, student support, community building, the advisory program would fit wonderfully in that space.
So, and what are these activities? How do they differ from the lessons?
Yeah, so these activities are really more focused on students, involving the students more. I think sometimes the lessons we're trying to, fit in 25 minutes some skills and concepts, and sometimes while we try to make them as engaging as possible, sometimes it can feel like the students are receiving this information. In the advisory activities, we're really taking those concepts and asking the students to do with them what they will. So we have class discussions, which are a series of discussion prompts that the teacher can use on a particular topic. And so a lot of times people will use them use like a community circle or something like that to discuss these topics that range from social issues, academic issues, bullying and harassment, any number of topics. They are discussion prompts for the class to have a discussion on. And it's called class discussion. There's also class challenges, which are fun activities that students can do that help reinforce content or various topics that they are addressing. And then there's also service learning projects, which are multi-session, multi-week or month projects that students can partake in, that teachers would guide them on, that have social emotional learning concepts and connections.
So, I mean, it's really neat to kind of have these different activities kind of built in to go alongside the lessons. What is and it's not, on the surface, you tell having fun activities the kids can kind of get into. That in itself is really is a nice thing. But what's the underlying reason for this? How does this help students grow socially and emotionally? How does it help them feel more connected to school?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think really the crux of advisory is helping students build communities and feel connected to their school. There's so much research out there that says that students who feel connected to their school, feel like they are connected to friends and peers, have many beneficial outcomes like better attendance, stronger academic outcomes, positive self-concepts, healthier lifestyle choices. And it all comes down to social connection, which we also know at adolescence becomes really challenging. They've just gone from a single class to a multi-period day in a lot of cases. Adolescence in itself, there's so many things happening in that time period that affect their relationships. So leveraging advisory to foster these connections, both among peers. Also, let's not discount the student to teacher, the student to adult, strengthening that bond as well, having one adult in that building that feels that they know cares about them. All of these things research has shown us has really positive long-term outcomes. And I think approaching advisory with these multiple types of discussions or activities and things that just feel fun and a little more natural, it all just helps to serve the long-term kind of whole child approach that we try to do with our social emotional curriculum.
So I want to circle back to something you said before about trying to support advisory programs that often kind of struggle with support. I mean, that's something that I connect with. It. When I was a teacher, we had an advisory program, and it was not well supported, and it was a really it was a it was the words that I would use to describe that experience are not words that I would use in this setting. It was difficult. It was a difficult situation. How exactly does that look? How do these advisory activities kind of meet that need and really help an advisory program succeed?
Yeah, so first of all, I want to say we're talking about this. If you go into Second Step Middle School, in the menu bar on the top, there's a section called Teach. And that's where you are probably familiar with. Everybody who teaches Second Step Middle School, that's where you go and you access your lessons and your curriculum. The menu item right next to it is called Advisory Activities. You can go there. And from there, there are several links. And I'm going to get to your point about how do we support this, which is there you can find all the information you need about the program. And there are two places there that have links to support pages. One is about planning your school's advisory program, which is really from a building level perspective. How are you going to schedule in advisory? What is the goal that you have for your school's advisory program?
Yeah,
If you're a principal or
I'm gonna actually
leader?
throw this up while you're talking about it so people
Okay,
can see.
awesome. So those are some things that we want to consider when building an advisory program. Like, what's the goal? Is it social connection? Is it academic support? What is it? And how much time are you going to dedicate to it? Our second step lessons are 25 minutes long. So if you have one 25-minute period in a week, the second step lessons are going to be what you're teaching. But if you have a 50-minute period, you can fill that second 25 minutes with either extending the lesson, or you can add an advisory activity in. Most advisory activities are in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 minutes long. And so there are all these standalone activities. You can kind of build and flex this program to meet whatever your implementation style is. I would start though from that planning perspective of what is the goal and how much time can you dedicate to it. So if you're doing a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday, 2-day week program, you could teach the advisory or you could teach the lesson and then a class discussion on Thursday. If you are doing it every single day of the week, you could do a weekly check-in on Monday, second step lesson on Tuesday, class discussion on Wednesday, class challenge on Thursday, and a weekly checkout on Friday. We've got you covered for 5 days a week or 1 day a week. And in that planning your advisory program page, we have a bunch of sample schedules about what your program might look like, depending on a variety of scenarios that you have. And if you're a teacher, we have a page that goes through and talks about all the different types and categories of activities that we have and ways that are important to engage with students.
Cool. I think I appreciate you kind of walking us through all of this, because I think this is something that's new to a lot of folks, that not everybody knows about the program. We're running up close on time. I don't want to take too much more of your time, but I do have one other question that I want to ask you. It's something I've been asking everybody that comes in for these events. Setting everything aside, not necessarily worrying about the topic we're talking about today, if you think about the entirety of the middle school program, what's one part of it that's your favorite part, or that puts a smile on your face when you think about it, or you're really proud of? Just what is your favorite part of the middle school program?
That is a great question, and there is a lot to be proud of. I would say the thing that I enjoy most when working on the program are the Real Voices content. Every time we've actually been recently interviewing students for these new Real Voices that we're releasing in June around goal setting. And every time I am blown away by students and young people about, and so in this particular topic recently, we've been talking about goal setting, the goals that they set, how they work through them, how they overcome the obstacles that they face, big goals, relatively small goals, all of these things. I'm always blown away. And then when I have the opportunity to serve as the interviewer while working with the students to get their recording, I get chills almost every time, because I think it's so important to amplify their voices and put them out there. And one of the silver linings, I suppose, of the pandemic is now technology is just about everywhere. And so we were able to connect with students all across the country in their homes in even easier than we were before. So I'm always a huge fan of the Real Voices and what it represents for students.
It's great. Well, thank you again for coming and joining us in the community today, Teryl. It's been a pleasure to get a chance to well, I already knew you, but it's nice. I'm a pleasure to get a chance to introduce you to everybody in the Second Step community.
Thank you.
So, and this is not the end of our Meet the Makers series. Next week, we're going to be featuring Dr. Mylan Duong, who is the lead researcher on our soon-to-be-released SEL for Adults program, who's going to be coming to speak about equity-informed program development and how kind of a focus on equity helps shape the SEL for Adults program. That's going to be a week from today at 10 a.m. And it's going to be live. Wherever you're watching this right now, you'll be able to watch that one as well. I also want to let you know, we've mentioned a few times the Second Step educator community. This is a great professional learning community of practice that we host as a Facebook group where thousands of Second Step educators are coming together every day to help support each other's work and also to help us, as Teryl was saying, that providing feedback to us that's invaluable for the development of our own of Second Step programs. If you'd like to join this community, if you're watching in this community, you're already there. But if you'd like to join, just follow this link right here on the screen. We would love to have you join us there. So until next week, thank you all very much again. Stay healthy, and we will talk to you in the community. Take care, everybody.